Beausoleil, please speak in first, Judge.
Thank you.
Nicole is the mother of Madisyn Baldwin.
Thank you. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
If you could please state your full name for the record.
Nicole Beausoleil?
Thank you. And is there something you wish to state to the court this morning?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. You may proceed, ma'am.
Thanks. Good morning, Your Honor. Madisyn Baldwin, a name that most didn't know prior to this horrific act, but now a name that everyone has come to love. A name that has brought so much joy to the world. Your Honor, I know you haven't had the privilege to know her, only of what you've heard. She is an old soul, wiser beyond her years. At only 17, she has taught me more than I could ever thank her for. Having her young myself, she made me the mother I am today. She gave me the courage to be stronger. A few key things about Madisyn was her laughter, contagious smile, intelligence, passion, kindness, fearless drive, and determination. She is a light when you need it most. When the world gets dark, she's the stars. That small beacon of light that is so far to see, but up close burns like wildfire. At times I catch myself missing these characteristics, worried that I might forget them, but then I realize she's here. Madisyn lives in all of us. Her legacy remains, her kindness continues, now and forever. She will always be the heartbeat of our family. On November 30th, 2021, is a day that has forever changed my life. It burns into my body like a cigarette burn. Enough to scar, but always a constant reminder. The day I found out that my daughter's life was taken. A life that was still so young and full of life. After that day, she became a statistic, a victim, a planned act of tragedy. How could my daughter be summarized in such intrusive manner? How could these now be her associations? I would like you to know that these accusations are false. I will not allow her name to be followed by the phrase Oxford shooting victim. She will be remembered by her name, a name that is loved unconditionally, one that has no hidden remark. The strong name we gave her, Madisyn. When I received word that the school was under attack, my daughter had already been gone for over an hour. This I didn't know while driving into a designated area pretty much on autopilot, waiting for the unknown. As I paced the Myers asking where my daughter was, all I received was blank stares. As the remaining kids reunited with their families, we were left there in silence, waiting for the answers that we are still waiting for. Next thing I hear, can the family of Madisyn Baldwin follow me? As I walked into the room, I felt this chill come across my body, so cold that I felt it in my bones. I pleaded not to go in, but following command, the words we heard were, I don't have good news on these 3 children. They are deceased. The sheer blunt statement could destroy you to the core. I was completely paralyzed. I felt every scream that came from my body. I felt every breath I took was fading. My mind was in a state of dementia, and then my body drops to the floor. We were literally suffocating together in disbelief. Replaying those words in my head, within seconds, I thought, did I hear them right? I was definitely misinformed. The sobs came from a deep part in me. Tears soaked the cold floor I laid on. I managed a few calls, but conversations I've blocked out. Leaving for the substation, I stared out the window, looking for her, but replaying those words in my head. My mind and heart were literally in two different places. The rest of the night was excuse after excuse on why I couldn't be taken to my daughter. I needed to see her. I needed to prove that the information was not meant for me, but all I was offered was a table the next day at the medical examiner's office to identify her. Getting back home felt like forever. I had to tell her 11-year-old sister at the time that her best friend was gone. Peyton's screams will forever haunt me. And when she asked me that simple question, why? As a mom, I didn't have the answer. The next morning, I was on my way to prove somebody wrong at the medical examiner's office. In my head, it wasn't going to be her. As I walked down the corridor, I entered into a room with a steel door and a small glass window. I couldn't move my feet. I couldn't get close enough to look. But when I remembered, I was there to prove somebody wrong. I looked through the glass. My scream should have shattered it. My daughter's lifeless body was laying on a cold metal gurney. I remember her hand laying out from underneath the sheet, and her fingernails were blue. Blood smeared in her hair, and they made sure I saw her from a side that was more acceptable for a grieving mother. That was not my daughter. Madisyn was far from lifeless. As I banged on the door demanding to touch her, I lost my ability to stand. I was dragged away from her. I was not allowed to touch my own daughter. I was not allowed to hold her hand and just let her know I was there. It's a feeling that no parent should ever feel. But that's my baby. I deserved the right to be with her, but I was not allowed. Instead, I was dragged away from her, screaming like a toddler, saying profanities in the most ignorant way. That is when I realized I could no longer deny it. I didn't want to admit I was wrong. I didn't want to visualize a moment without her. I didn't want to believe she was gone. But it hit me like a semi-truck. I knew her dreams were no longer the future, but only dreams. Your Honor, I thank you for the dedication to this infuriating act. I admire your knowledge of the law and the stance onto listening to all, keeping your composure and consistency throughout this sentencing. I thank you for the clear representation of your courtroom. I thank you for the countless hours that this has taken from you and your family's life to give the best possible judgment. I thank you for being a human being. To the prosecution and advocates, Karen, Mark, David, and countless others, I thank you for the constant efforts to keep my daughter's legacy alive. The righteous hours, the rigorous hours that have consumed you, your nonstop actions to make sure all facts are given appropriately, your compassion for our family. Jen, my advocate, and others, advocates, I thank you for picking me up on some of my worst days and moments that I thought my life was not valuable, keeping me sane during every moment, even when weakness was at its worst. You all have remembered my daughter and kept her spirit alive in the most prestigious manner. Thank you for taking away from your life to get justice for her life. And lastly, thank you for doing the unthinkable, the tragic, the raw, the vulnerable, and infuriating moments when I know it breaks you inside to make sure that we are the slightest bit okay, to make sure we continue, that we remember, and that we keep fighting for justice. To the waste that took my daughter's life, that name will never come out of my mouth. That life will cease to exist to me, and just like trash, it will be forgotten. So while the attention that he has been seeking for this horrendous crime, you will get no reaction from me. But again, this is the life he chose. If he really wanted to make a different outcome, he wouldn't continue to make the excuses he does now. The suffering will come when he least expects it. The regret will consume you as you sit alone with the only voices in your head. Guilt would eat away at your soul. This might not happen tomorrow, next year, or 10 years, but it will happen. As you get older, you will realize the path you've chosen, and it will haunt you. Just like the idol that you admire so much, both of you forgotten in the system. And when these emotions flood into your body like you're bleeding out, no one will be there to save you. No one will forgive you. Your hand will no longer be held as you claim insanity. Your outburst for attention will go unnoticed. No one will love you, and no one will come. As I don't wish death upon you, that would be too easy. I hope the thoughts consume you and they replay over and over in your head. The thoughts won't stop. I'm sure you heard that paraphrase before. I hope the screams keep you up at night and they cause real hallucinations. You won't be able to write it on paper for the attention that you so badly seek. Those four walls become your home, suffocating in guilt. It will come, I promise you. I'm happy you decided not to be a coward that day and take your own life. I'd much rather you stick around to see what the life you have chosen for, what suffering really feels like, and that your significance is not above anyone else. I truly feel sorry for you that you thought this would be a better life choice. So, Your Honor, I have chosen forgiveness. We live in a world where forgiveness is not deserved but needed. Forgiveness, a word that holds so much controversy. What does it really mean? To me, forgiveness is an encouragement. It encourages me to forgive the things that are out of my control. I have chosen to forgive for myself. In some that might seem weak or giving in, it's my new journey with Madisyn, because honestly, that is who she was and that is what she would have done. I no longer carry that burden. It does not define me, it does not define her, or it does not define our family. I forgive myself for the grief that at times felt like multiple stab wounds, but managed to survive. I forgive myself for the weak moments of fear of the world around me. The time it's taken from my family and loved ones, time I will never get back. I forgive myself for not allowing joy and happiness in my life, to reflect and to learn. I forgive myself for any anger that raged inside me and I took out on the ones I love, in hopes that this would destroy me or suffering would be unbearable. You failed. I'm so much stronger than you, and your weakness consumes you. I don't choose to forgive the destructive nature that caused her death. Forgiving is a choice. I choose not to forgive you for the choice you made. This is exactly what you wanted. This is not a life that I would ever want to live. What this has done is ignited the light that I thought I lost. Madisyn's light. Your Honor, I hope you stamp his faith with whatever fate that might be, to continue to live the life sentence that he researched. That his life sentence is the same as my life sentence I received. As a life sentence that I cannot escape from. Day by day passes, I hope his life seems more meaningless, lost and forgotten. So when my time comes, and I will never worry if our paths or fates will ever meet again, but when our true day of judgment comes, my justice will be served. That his life sentence will continue so that he may live in his own personal prison for eternity, with no one waiting for him. I can only wish him the best on his new life and the repercussions that follow. Your Honor, as I close this chapter and I start a new one, I would like to make one thing clear. These actions did not break me. I am not broken. I am just rearranging the pieces. I am surviving each day, navigating this journey, celebrating the good and learning from the bad, choosing happiness, forgiving when needed and when it's deserved. I am living. I'm living because of my baby girl, Madisyn. Thank you.